I bet the number one question that all real estate professionals and individuals that are considering either buying or selling is, where the heck is the real estate market headed in 2022? This year has been a roller coaster for sure, just as the second half of 2020. We have literally seen home prices skyrocket in most areas. Inventory is still at an all-time low. Interest rates have fluctuated big time from the start of the year. New home sales have not been able to keep up with demand. Buyers are still offering insane prices and terms for homes, and so much more. In this video, I'm gonna lay out some information for you so that you can get a glimpse into what the real estate market will look like going into 2022. Everything that I talk about today will be based off my personal observations in the Chester County real estate market, predictions from experts, and trends that we are seeing, which have no signs of slowing down in the immediate future. Let's start with buyer demand and how that will look going into 2022. As of recording this video in mid-December, there has not been any slowdown with buyer demand, especially in Chester County. One of the important factors to look at, which highlights this, is the average days on market. The average days on market this year in Chester County has been 21. January, February, March of this year saw the highest days on market, and from April on, the number has decreased. Low days on market means that homes are selling very quickly due to the amount of buyer demand. When buyer demand is low, traditionally in a more stable market, the average days on market will be much higher than 3 weeks. A company called Altos Research started tracking the phenomenon that we have been witnessing called immediate sales. This essentially means that as soon as a home hits the market, it is immediately going under contract within days and even sometimes hours. Immediate sales is the result of a strong buyer demand and an important factor to keep in mind when assessing market stability. As long as buyer demand stays high, then immediate sales will continue to dominate. According to Housing Wire, if the housing market turns, immediate sales will be one of the first places we'll be able to see it. For example, if buyers are cooled by higher interest rates, the first thing that's going to happen is they are not going to make those immediate offers. We will be getting into interest rates shortly, but since it could take months for interest rates to rise to a high enough rate to actually deter buyers, we can assume the trend of immediate sales will continue well into 2022. The last indicator that I want to focus on that contributes to elevated buyer demand is the number of price reductions happening in the market. In a more stable market, we generally see about a third of sellers initially overprice their homes and have to reduce in order to sell. In Chester County this year, we have not seen nearly that amount of homes overpriced and have seen the majority of sellers receive at their asking price or over in most cases. This leads me to believe that this trend will continue well into 2022 also. Now let's look at home prices and where they're expected to go. But before we get into that, I have a huge favor to ask. If you made it this far in the video, please hit the like and subscribe button. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm and gets our content out to more people. So 2021 was another unprecedented year in home value increase. According to Zillow, home values have increased in Chester County about 14% total, which is a mind-boggling number. We saw drastic increases like this in the second half of 2020, and the trend has not slowed down a bit. But the big question is, will home prices continue to rise in 22? According to most of the industry leaders within the real estate world, they are predicting that home values will continue to rise, but not at the astronomical levels that we have been seeing. The general consensus is that home values will rise about 5.1% when you look at what the experts based off of their data. I personally believe that home prices will continue to rise, especially in Chester County. I certainly do not think that we will be at a level where we have seen these past 18 months or so. But we live in one of the most desirable areas in Pennsylvania, and that will always contribute to buyer demand and increasing home prices. Even outside of Chester County and focusing on the state as a whole, we are set to see the rise of home prices continue, just not at the very elevated rate. Next up, we're going to talk about inventory levels. Our inventory levels in Chester County, just like most places in the country, have been extremely low. The way that we can tell how low or high inventory levels are is by looking at the month supply of inventory. The month supply of inventory all year has been no higher than 2 months. To give you a little context about this, in a healthy market, the month supply of inventory is usually around 5 or 6, which means that there are a lot of different options out there for buyers. But in Chester County, the inventory levels have been so low, which is why we have not been able to keep up with the demand, and that results in increasing home prices. In fact, the inventory levels have been low for years now, which is why we have been experiencing a seller's market for so long. This trend does not seem to be something that will end in 2022 either. To me, the only thing that will contribute to more inventory at this point will have to be a rise in mortgage rates, which is what we're going to talk about next. Rising interest rates will cause some of the influx of buyers to hold off, which will in return result in more inventory coming to the market. So where do we see interest rates heading in 2022? According to nerdwallet.com, on the high side, the Mortgage Bankers Association predicts that they will hit 4% by the end of the year. On the low end, Fannie Mae expects 30-year fixed averages to be 3.2% at the end of the year. Those two organizations, plus Freddie Mac and the National Association of Realtors, predict that rates will rise steadily through 2022. When you take the average of all four groups' quarter by quarter predictions, you have the 30-year fixed averaging 3.33% in the first quarter and 3.7% in the fourth quarter. To me, this seems to be a fair and normal increase, and one that will hopefully ease the craziness of the market. I mean, even if rates go up to about 4%, it's still pretty low overall. There have been so many people, myself included, who have taken advantage of the record low mortgage rates in order to buy a first or second home. This, in essence, is what has caused the market to be crazy as it has been. The hopes are that rising interest rates will cool down the market we have seen in 2021 and start to level the playing field for buyers a little bit more. Let's shift our focus a little bit to new construction. New construction homes are one of the major factors that helps the inventory level. In addition to existing home sales, new construction sales have also been at a very low level for years, and the pandemic has not helped that at all. In addition to labor and supply issues that builders are still experiencing, now they are confronted with a whole new issue, which is an extreme lot shortage. According to the National Association of Home Builders, 76% of builders reported that the overall supply of developed lots in their area was low to very low. This is an all-time record by a wide margin since NAHB began collecting the information in the 90s. The previous record was 65% in 2018. Without land to build on, new construction builders are experiencing a harsh reality that is continuing to contribute to the inventory shortage. New home builders have been experiencing a decrease in building opportunities since 2008 and have not been able to keep up with demand since. This will continue to affect the market going into next year, and hopefully they can come up with some kind of solution. So this is my conclusion for everything. As you can see from what I just laid out, it seems to be the perfect storm for a continuation of what has been happening the past 20 months. In my professional opinion, 2022 will still be an amazing year to sell a home. We have recently helped a client sell his townhome that he purchased in 2019, in which he netted over $100,000 in proceeds in 2.5 years. So with values continuing to rise, more sellers can expect to sell their homes for a phenomenal price. For buyers, it's going to be difficult to find exactly what they're looking for. Existing home sales will hopefully outpace 21, but there are no guarantees that this will happen. I believe buyers will have to become a little more sophisticated in their search and have their agents try and source off-market opportunities for them. So if you're going to be in the market to either buy or sell in 2022, then we should definitely talk. Set up a consultation with us today by clicking the link below, or you can simply text us at 484-999-0218. Look forward to speaking with you soon, and have a great day. Take care.